Story 1. Not necessarily expensive, but back in the 1990s, my German Shepherd dog dug up and destroyed two 5-foot-tall cannabis plants I was growing. Ironically, his name was Bud. Story 2. My dad's dog destroyed a 200-year-old Bible that contained numerous death certificates from a Holly, Michigan hotel fire decades ago. Our family owned the place when it occurred. We kept the Bible under a hand-carved desk that we inherited from the place when it was sold. He shredded it. When my sister's child asked, "Why would he eat a Bible?" her husband responded, "Because he really loves God." Frankly, I do not know how that child might have interpreted that. Story 3. My dog caused a 5-car pileup, after which all the cars had to be written off. The total cost was $280,000, paid for by insurance. Luckily, no people or animals were hurt. Story 4. When I was a little kid, not even walking, we had a cat who absolutely hated my father. He was otherwise quite social and intelligent too. He knew how to open most drawers, baby gates, and doors. One day, he went through my father's dresser and urinated in every single drawer with a level of precision and thoroughness that middle managers can only dream of. We weren't exactly well off. The cost of everything from my father's work uniforms to his socks was a blow. Dad was furious, but thankfully my mom persuaded him not to harm the cat. Fast forward a month or two, and we found out my father had been sexually abusing me and several of the neighborhood kids. Our cat had hated him for a very good reason. We escaped, got the cat back after he briefly stayed with our aunt during a very messy divorce, and he lived to be 18 years old, receiving many treats and head pats. Story 5. Had a really rough shift at work. Came home to find our old enough to know better dog had played tug of war with my $800 restoration hardware ottoman. I have just turned it so you cannot see that side, and she lost free roam of the whole house privileges until she is a bit older. Story 6. My dog damaged my savings account. She was acting strange and lactating, although pregnancy was impossible. I took her to the veterinarian, and after about $8,000 in tests, I was told she was experiencing a false pregnancy. We needed to buy her a plush dog toy that she could mother when she gave birth to, in order to avoid anxiety and depression. Story 7. A Labrador ate my kitchen baseboards. Another Labrador stole a fully cooked prime rib that was resting on the oven rack. I am a glutton for punishment. I have had 11 Labradors. Story 8. A $1,600 ultra-wide 8K monitor. She suddenly ran across my desk and jumped off the monitor. It was painful. Story 9. My beagle, unofficially named the spawn of Satan, tore my €1,000 sofa apart a year ago. I was working a 12-hour night shift when my daughter sent me a picture. I had the sofa for 3 years. Luckily, I went back to the store where I bought it, and they still had the exact same sofa on sale for €700. Story 10. Not mine, but my sister's dog. Years ago, there was a family emergency, and my brother-in-law was severely injured in an all-terrain vehicle accident. My sister was going back and forth between the intensive care unit and home. At some point, she realized her large dog needed to go to the dog park and run. When she got home, she forgot to let the dog out of her brand-new Subaru due to brain fog and exhaustion. She went inside, took a shower, and took a nap. The windows were down, and it was fall in the afternoon, so there was no danger of heat. A water bowl was on the floor for the dog to drink from after the park. Hours later, realizing the dog was still in the car, she ran outside to let him into the house. The interior of the car was destroyed to the point where the insurance totaled the vehicle. This is why people are told not to drive or run errands while upset or tired. Even a simple task like taking care of pets can go wrong. Story 11. Cats doing cat things, so they scratched everything. Chairs, couch. Eventually, they stopped when everything was destroyed. Story 12. My dog is generally pretty good, but when she was little, she tugged the arm of a jacket and pulled over my antique coat rack, causing a hole in the wall. I guess it is partially my fault for having that heavy coat rack anyway. You cannot really blame puppies for being puppies. Story 13. The dog chewed the backseat seatbelt because it was in his way while exiting from the Volvo V70 trunk. Was it necessary for escape to the back seat? No. Was it expensive? Yes. Story 14. My little finger on my dominant hand. My husky took off when I was grabbing his collar. The finger got stuck and I tore the tendon. After 3 surgeries, it is still curled into my palm. Story 15. My house. My boxer could get out of any harness and open doors. One Christmas, unbeknownst to me, my mom sent several bags of fancy coffee beans, which I put under the tree. One day, while I was at work, my dog got out of her harness, opened the garage door, and began her reign of terror. She ate most of the coffee beans and then hopped up on caffeine, destroyed my couch and my tree, as well as most of the presents. Eventually, she made her way upstairs and accidentally locked herself in the guest bedroom. Doors that open outward are much easier to open than those opening inward. In her frustration, she tore the curtains off the wall, along with a good bit of drywall. By the time I arrived home, she had scratched about halfway through my custom solid oak bedroom door. Story 16. We had a Great Dane that at his heaviest was 220 pounds. We went through 5 couches in the 7 years we had him, all from him flopping his large body down. Story 17. My cat somehow managed to knock my camera lens off the kitchen counter, and it shattered when it hit the tile floor. It was a $600 telephoto lens that I saved up for months to buy. She was being her usual curious self, sniffing around my camera bag, and must have bumped it just right. Story 18. I do not recall which piece of upholstered furniture my cat shredded was the most expensive. If it has arms and is upholstered in fabric, it quickly becomes his. Final answer. All the upholstered furniture, collectively, gestures around the entire home. Story 19. My cat must be a little angel because the only thing he has destroyed is his scratching post, which is its intended purpose. Story 20. The dog kept urinating on the outdoor air conditioning unit. We did not know until the technician said the coils were completely rotted away. Story 21. I accidentally left the closet door cracked when we had a teething 16-week-old puppy. My $370 Italian leather boots did not stand a chance. I was just grateful she did not get a blockage, to be honest. Story 22. My dog ate the back of my couch, including the wood, so when she laid down to look out the window, she could rest her head on the remaining fabric. She created a pillow with the fabric. Story 23. My vacuum cleaner stopped working suddenly while I was vacuuming. I checked if I accidentally hit the off button, but I did not. I checked if the cord was pulled out of the socket in the wall, but it was not. I turned around to check if the power was off in my apartment, and I found my free-range bunny happily chewing on the electric cord. How he did not electrocute himself is beyond me. Story 24. A pair of prescription glasses. Our dog thought they seemed tasty. Insurance would not cover the old dog ate my glasses excuse, and it ended up costing over $500. Story 25. My parents' cat urinated on their expensive television. They have not bought a new one since. This incident actually encouraged them to reduce the amount of time they spend watching television. Instead, they read books and now spend more time doing other activities. Story 26. Probably a tie between my dentures, which cost about $1,000, and a wallet containing my driver's license and permanent resident card. The latter was a major pain to get replaced. Story 27. My cat knocked over my laptop while I was working and cracked the screen beyond repair. $800 down the drain. Story 28. My mom's dog is a border collie. When she was a puppy, she liked water a lot and especially enjoyed throwing things into it. She still likes water but has outgrown the habit of throwing things into it. She once threw a full roll of toilet paper into the toilet, and it got so clogged that it had to be professionally unclogged. Of course, she did not have the ability to flush, but the person who used the toilet afterward probably did not see the toilet paper roll. Story 29. It wasn't any one thing, but the little dog I had was a constant path of destruction. Anything within that dog's reach was fair game, and by that I mean kiss it goodbye. It didn't matter what: power tools, keys, knives, furniture, Christmas lights, or clothes. You would never guess so much destruction could be caused by such a small creature. Story 30. I was upset because she destroyed my $100 continuous positive airway pressure mask. After reading some answers here, I am not upset anymore. Story 31. My paycheck. She is being anesthetized for a necessary teeth cleaning on Thursday. It is more than my mortgage. Good thing I taught summer school. Story 32. My rabbit ate all my baseboards and door jambs up as high as he could reach. I did not get my security deposit back on that one. Story 33. My friend's pit bull, kept in our backyard, chewed the knobs off the gas grill and filled the entire yard with natural gas. That's when we discovered that the installers did not include a shutoff valve for the grill. After a panicked call to the gas company, they arrived, turned the gas off at the street, and capped the pipe to the gas grill, rendering it unusable. I hated that dog. It had no redeeming qualities. Story 34. A couch. She stripped off the upholstery and then worked on the padding, leaving a bare frame that she began to pull apart. The first time I left her unattended while I took a shower upstairs. I never expected a dog could cause that much damage in 15 minutes. My brother's dog pulled up his entire kitchen floor. That was also expensive. Story 35. Her own tooth. She snapped at the cat as he ran by and broke the tooth from the root. She needed approximately $4,000 worth of dental work at a specialist since she was quite old and fragile. It ended up being moot because she did not properly recover and died about 6 weeks later. Story 36. I bought a bedside table that was glass-topped, had a touch-sensitive light, and wireless charging. I put it together, and it was great until I decided to put a glass of water on it. No, I thought better of it and placed it far back on the bookcase set into my wall and went to sleep. I was violently woken up by a smashing sound. I leapt out of bed shouting to find the glass smashed on top of the bedside table, with my cat's paw still out above, purring away and meowing at me. I had to sit down to let my heart stop pounding. Little rascal. Story 37. Puppy. Laptop. Glass of water. What really destroyed my expenses was the Apple Store, which told me the laptop could not be fixed and sold me a €2,000 new one. Then that broke, and while it was in the store, I brought the old one to Mactivate, the best Mac repairers in Ireland, and they fixed it for €95. Story 38. My dog decided to poop on the carpet while my robotic vacuum cleaner was running. This resulted in feces being smeared all over the carpets, which required professional cleaning. The brand new robotic vacuum cleaner ended up covered in it, with feces in the sensors and caked onto the wheels. When I texted my wife to tell her what had happened, I started with, "This is the worst day of my life." At that moment, I truly felt it. Story 39. Last month, my mom's cat broke her decades-old jars worth at least $800 in today's value. One of those jars was my older sister's favorite. He jumped at the shelf and it fell off. Meanwhile, he ran away like Houdini. Story 40. Central heating system. Not completely sure. She broke into the attic and I think she pushed something in. I am just very glad she was okay. Although filthy. She broke into the bathroom, went under the bath, and climbed up the cavity wall space. One of her siblings unscrewed the pipes under the bath, and another drowned my work laptop. Edit. Ferrets. Thankfully, 3 of them climbed into the loft using a wall in my room, so I heard them. One made it into the neighbor's sitting room. Story 41. My cat ate the binding of a first edition Tom Sawyer that belonged to my great-great-grandfather. I guess it was so old that the glue was made from horses or something, and Kevin just went for it. Story 42. Current dog tore up some leather boots. Our late beagle chewed up a continuous positive airway pressure mask and a custom mouth guard. I guess she was attracted to the smell of my husband's mouth. Story 43. Had a Great Dane who, as a puppy, chewed through my apartment wall into the neighbor's apartment. It would have been expensive, but I fixed it myself. Story 44. Our family beagle once took my wallet and buried it in the garden. I had to replace my credit cards, driver's license, and about $40. 2 weeks later, my wallet, covered in dirt, showed up on my floor. Story 45. My credit score. He was a gross, disgusting, raggedy, stinky little boy. Needed full mouth tooth extraction, desexing, worming. He is an Angora crossbreed and needs professional grooming and clipping because he is oily. Last week, he was vaccinated and treated for ticks and fleas. On Wednesday night, he developed a limp. On Thursday, the veterinarian could not find anything wrong. Advice: bring him back on Friday. He has a stomach bug. I had to collect the most foul-smelling, vomit-inducing, gag reflex-activating, abhorrent criminal stool sample ever. Lab test on the stool sample cost $400. So, $780 in 3 days. He has now passed the virus to our other cat despite trying to keep them separated. Loans and overdrafts, and he does not care about any of it. Story 46. $4,000 brand new couch and another $3,000 3-year-old couch and chair, both purchased when he was a puppy. I told my husband not to leave him out even for a second if he had to leave the room. He did not listen. We had to buy a new $4,000 couch, leather, so it would not get damaged, with a protection plan that includes pet damage. Story 47. I lost a MacBook during the Great Coffee Fracas of 2014. I was using my laptop on the kitchen table with a big cup of coffee. One of my giant Maine Coon cats jumped up for some attention. The second one saw this and jumped up too. Someone got jealous, paws started swinging, and my coffee spilled right on the keyboard. Story 48. My cat's leg had bone cancer. We caught it early and were able to remove it. $7,000 later, she is still a happy tripod cat who hops around and has the nickname Bunny. Story 49. Current crop of cats. All the curtains in the lounge and dining area. The 18-month-old leather lounge which replaced the trashed 20-year-old fabric one, and my queen-sized mattress. Curtains. Scratching, tearing, climbing, and peeing. Lounge. Scratching, pee beads and runs off. Mattress. Pee central. I go through a small country's annual gross domestic product in enzyme-based cleaner, paper towels, and puppy pee pads. Story 50. One of our cats knocked over my very full china cabinet, destroying an entire set of my grandmother's bone china and several heirloom commemorative cups and mugs my late grandfather received from the United States Air Force. The cat also broke one of the china cabinet doors and the glass pane. We were able to fix both the door and the glass pane. I was home with an infant and had to call my husband home from work and my parents over because I was very upset. Story 51. A screen door ran straight through. There was a full-grown border collie-sized hole in it. This is the same dog that, when he was a puppy, managed to move the entire stove to knock over the puppy gate we had set up to keep him in the kitchen when we were gone. I came home, and he was at the front door. The first words out of my mouth were, "You're not supposed to be here." He was too smart and stubborn for his own good sometimes. I miss him. Story 52. My dog treated my $200 shoes like chew toys. Total destruction. Zero guilt. My wallet is crying, but at least he is happy. Story 53. My mother's old Bible was passed down from her great-grandfather. It was so worn out that there were fingerprints worn into the cover from how much he had used it. It was falling apart at the seams, and the paper was so brittle it could crumble. It was worthless to most but priceless to her. I managed to salvage enough pages and use them in a gift I made for her, so she could still have some part of it to remember him by. Story 54. My amplifier for guitar, purchased for $90 out of the trash, and multiple electric surge protectors. One of my toolbox bags cost $20. I am at a place where there is a cat that urinates everywhere. It is cheap and I do a lot of cleaning, but it is very frustrating. Story 55. I heard from someone I know that their dog, when he was a puppy, chewed up an Apple AirTag, which costs $50 to $60, and 2 pairs of good Apple AirPods, each costing $250, all within 2 weeks. That almost made them give up, and they cried a lot from what I heard. Story 56. My mini dachshund eviscerated 3 of the 4 cushions on my couch. She burrowed into them and pulled out all the stuffing while we were at work. The entire living room was covered in stuffing. We found her asleep inside a cushion. Story 57. A brand new dining suite that was less than a week old. He got to it in the box and made a couple of small marks which we could hide. But then he chewed on the corner of the table, the end of the bench seat, and the corners of 3 of 5 chairs. He was 8 months old at the time. He is 3 now, and I have not quite forgiven him. The suite cost nearly $2,000. Story 58. My cats are littermates. They managed to destroy a television, record player, and at least one robot vacuum. Other than one cat accidentally knocking down a glass fruit bowl, they have been great since they outgrew being kittens. Story 59. Thankfully, our boy has only ever destroyed one thing. A good telling off, and he has never chewed on anything since. It was my husband's prescription glasses. Story 60. I had a puppy that chewed the cord to the refrigerator in two. Currently, I have two cats, one of which has taken to sharpening her claws on my chest of drawers and making quite a mess. Story 61. A whole Norfolk bronze free-range turkey crown. We think he teamed up with the cat, as he couldn't have reached it alone. Story 62. Both her anterior cruciate ligaments and an Achilles tendon were injured by being a psycho frisbee and snow-obsessed Labrador. The Achilles tendon injury happened while running through deep crusty snow, and she tore her anterior cruciate ligaments playing frisbee, we believe. She had Achilles tendon surgery where a mesh was implanted to reattach the tendon, and it has been good for 10 years now. Her anterior cruciate ligaments were both repaired with tibial plateau leveling osteotomy surgery, and those have been good for 8 years. A 15-and-a-half-year-old Labrador retriever still acting like a puppy. Story 63. The indoor rabbit stripped the wallpaper. I was tempted to hire her as she was very efficient and did not eat any of it. Story 64. He ate one shoe from every pair I owned. I opened the shoe box in a moment of anxiety and went to town on only my shoes. I left my husband's intact. Story 65. Motorized components were attached to a $400 bed that could incline and had massage vibrators built into the mattress. She chewed the electric cables that provided power and control to these motors. Story 66. The cat knocked my wife's watch off the bathroom cabinet onto the tiled floor. It will cost $1,500 to replace the crystal. Story 67. My cat knocked over an antique lamp while chasing a moth, shattered it, and it cost me $1,500 to replace. She acted like nothing happened and just sat there looking smug. Story 68. $3,000 worth of sprinkler line plus some siding off the house. As a puppy, our Siberian Husky chewed anything. She literally ate off a portion of the vinyl siding of our house and then dug up a lot of sprinkler line in several places and chewed it. Story 69. Not my pet, but a friend's pet. Broke the screen of my phone. Her cat likes to nibble on the silicone cover and then pushed my phone to the edge, causing it to fall. I was about to trade my phone for a new one, but now I cannot as the value has decreased. Oh well. Story 70. My favorite glasses. I was blind without them, so I had to use contact lenses before getting replacements. Of course, I couldn't get mad at my adorable puppies. Story 71. My cat's tower was just beside some drawer units that housed Lego sets my wife and I collected and built. One of my prized possessions was my Millennium Falcon. I do not know what scared my cat at the time, but he jumped from his tower, pounced on the Falcon, breaking it, and ran out of the room. I had a good 10-minute moment of silence. We managed to put it back together eventually. Story 72. My husband's Canada Goose jacket. I told him to hang it in the closet as we did not know how destructive our new kitten was. He did not listen. She scratched it all up during the night. Story 73. Leather sofa. 65-inch wall-mounted television, the bracket, and the wall to which the bracket was secured. About 1,000 pounds of Sky remote controls. One of them had repeated veterinary visits and tests for a mystery limp that turned out to be the dog faking it to see the veterinary nurses. Story 74. She is house-trained and even rings a bell to go outside. However, she occasionally has accidents. She peed on a rug, and we could never remove the smell, even with enzyme cleaners and professional cleaning, which cost $1,200. Then I bought a less expensive rug and pad to replace it, which was still costly. She ruined that too. We are going to start living without rugs. Story 75. Left the room and set my Xbox controller next to the dog. Then I heard actions happening on the screen and ran back to find a $150 purchase complete. He was chewing a bone and using the controller as a brace. I checked the account and the little troublemaker actually purchased it twice. PIN input is required now because all that had to happen was the A button being pressed repeatedly. Story 76. His own health was at risk, at least temporarily, by swallowing a foreign object that had to be surgically removed at great expense. Story 77. A gorgeous and intricate sweater my grandmother knitted. When it happened, my grandmother's arthritis was so bad that she could not make another. Nor could she show me how to do it myself. Edit. The dog completely chewed it up. Story 78. A $2,400 gaming laptop. He was a very nervous cat who passed away several years ago. He got spooked by who knows what and ran full force across my bed, somehow taking my power cord with him. He pulled my laptop right off my lap and onto the floor. I still miss that crazy cat. Story 79. I wish I could say it was when my Labrador ate part of our couch because her ball rolled underneath it. However, that was surpassed by the same Labrador eating her own rope toy, resulting in a $7,000 surgery to remove it. Story 80. $5,000 in water damage to hardwood floors, drywall, and carpeting. She locked herself in the bathroom, panicked, and chewed through the toilet fill hose. Approximately 500 gallons of water were dumped on the floor. Story 81. I was in college and really needed my computer. My cat Puck decided I was looking at it too much, so he started to unplug it. I left it on when I was away for a little while and would come back to a turned-off computer and lost work. The plug was loose in the socket. I thought it was the outlet in the apartment until I came back and saw Puck fully unplug the device. I think he waited for me to see him. This time, the arm scratched the platter where Windows was installed. So, no operating system on the computer and papers were due. There were few places to get a hard drive in Northeast Pennsylvania at that time. I had to pay $150 for a new hard drive and another $100 for Windows because I lost my disk in the early 2000s. I loved that cat, but he had really annoying ways to get my attention. He would chew up rolls of paper towels, hit the fish tank until the fish jumped out and died, and chew on cords. But I loved him. Story 82. My digital single-lens reflex camera. I had put it in the middle of the kitchen table, but apparently my rabbit could still reach past the edge of the table and get to the shoulder strap when he stood on his hind legs and stretched to his full length. He was not even a big Flemish giant. My camera did not bounce well. Story 83. The most expensive thing my pets have destroyed is each other. Last year, we made the mistake of feeding our Mastiff too close to my German Shepherd, and they got into a fight. It was a very short scuffle that left only minor scratches on both of them. One of the scratches became infected, and within 4 days my Shepherd needed emergency surgery because the wound became septic. Nearly 60 milliliters of pus was removed during the surgery. That cost approximately $10,000. Story 84. An Italian leather couch. When I moved into my own house, I needed a new couch because my storage unit destroyed mine. I got a leather couch and had it delivered. A cat was on my list of things to get, but not for a while. Then I met my cat. The problem was that she was incredibly weak due to malnutrition, and her muscles didn't have the strength to jump far or high. So, she used her claws to help her climb up. This damaged the leather. I'm not even mad. She doesn't use my couch as a scratching post. She's a cat trying to climb. Story 85. In 1996, I bought a Motorola StarTAC Elite cell phone. I had just started work as a consultant, and we all had cell phones. I paid $900 for it. The first week I had it, I put it in my open-top briefcase and went to the bathroom when I got home. When I came out, I saw my dog was chewing on it. The plastic had dog bites in it, and the antenna had wires showing. It still worked, though. A year later, I traded it to my coworker who had the same model, but he ran over his with his car, so the screen was scratched. He could not stand the scratched screen, even though it was just an orange light-emitting diode screen that showed the number you were dialing, but he could live with the bite marks and exposed antenna wire. Story 86. Restoration hardware sofa. It was an older couch gifted from a family member who did not have space for it anymore. Do not have nice things with a new puppy, especially a puppy that requires extensive training. Replaced it with a Costco couch that also got torn up. Oh well. Story 87. ate candy from 14 treat bags at a children's party. Emergency veterinary bill approximately $1,200, including surgery to remove wrappers that could not pass. Story 88. Her own digestion. One day she randomly stopped eating and pooping. Over $500 in veterinary bills, and now I have to feed her pureed pumpkin and Miralax with every meal. Apparently, some cats just do that for no reason. Story 89. He damaged his teeth trying to eat his way out of his kennel during a severe separation anxiety phase. Poor baby. He was given medication every time I had to leave him for a while. Story 90. My cat was urinating secretly on my white sofa. I did not know because I had a paisley cover on the cushions and could not smell or see the urine. Yes, she had a clean litter box and was using it, so her marking was for dominance over me. I eventually had to get rid of her because the veterinarian said there was nothing I could do to fix a behavior problem. We had to take the entire couch and throw it away. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.